DreAllDay.com.
What up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. We are here for Q&A number 73, which I do every week. It's Friday, May 29th, 10:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I record this every Friday, put the video out every Saturday. So what I'm going to do here is respond to all the comments and questions from the previous week's Q&A right out of the comment section, which all you can see. And then this video that I'm recording, your answers, will become Q&A number 73. And then it'll just repopulate itself, because any comments or questions y'all leave to this video, I'm going to make as Q&A number 74. And as long as y'all keep coming with good, useful, quality questions, I'll keep making these videos. And if the questions get whack, then I'm going to stop making these. So first of all, let me shout out to hoopcrate.com. Benny over there at Hoop Crate. He sent me one of the hoop crates. I just made an unboxing video like 10 minutes before I'm recording this. So y'all see that video after this video comes out, probably sometime next week. So anyway, let's get right into the questions. First question is from Mr. Jock. He says, how important is eyesight when shooting? He says, I know the answer is obvious. He says the answer is obvious, but he still posted his question. He wants to know my perspective on it. He's been practicing his jump shot since he was 10 years old, but his eyesight is getting worse and worse, he says. What I say, that to be a great shooter with the likes of like Kyle Korver or Reggie Miller, that he has to have close to great eyesight. Well, first of all, Mr. Jacques, who diagnosed you with having worse eyesight? Because if your eyesight is getting worse, you need to go see an eye doctor. If it's obvious to you that your eyesight is getting worse, you absolutely need to go see a doctor like yesterday, not right now. And you damn sure don't need to be asking nobody on YouTube, even me, their advice on your eyesight, because I am definitely not qualified to answer that question. So go make an eye doctor appointment ASAP. Get yourself some glasses, get some corrective lenses, get LASIK eye surgery, do what you got to do. But if something's wrong with your eyesight, you need to go see a doctor. And as far as being a great shooter, that requires, well, eyesight, of course. You need to be able to see. You need to be able to see the basket. So if you can't see the court, then you probably can't do anything. Forget shooting three-pointers. How about making a layup? As far as being like Reggie Miller or Kyle Korver, I mean, there's a lot of other things besides just being able to see the court. I think every player in the NBA and every player overseas and in college can actually see. So I don't think seeing alone is the only thing that's going to make you a great shooter. I think practice plays a much bigger role than just being able to see, because a lot of people can see, but not everybody can shoot. Next question. Daniel says, which Q&A video is your best or favorite one? I don't have a best or favorite one. I really, once I record it, I kind of forget about it, because the next week is just a whole new set of questions, so I don't really think about that. Josh Josiah says, who do I think is the greatest of all time? In his opinion, is Bill Russell. In his opinion, Bill Russell is the greatest of all time. Well, Josiah, I don't know how old you are, but I'm not old enough to have even seen 1 minute of Bill Russell play, even though I do know his accomplishments. But based on my bias of what I've seen, I had to go with Michael Jordan. Lovro Topic says, Dre, how can I get quicker and faster in basketball? I want to develop a deadly crossover. Well, you practice it. You need to practice a deadly crossover, and once you actually get the technique down, then you start working on adding speed. So if you want to play faster, you practice faster. I'm Complex said, if you had the all-around skill set that you have now when you were 17 or 18, do you think you would have made it to the NBA? If I played at the level, that's his question. My answer is, if I played at the level at age 17 that I play right now, I don't even know, because I would have had to have been playing basketball since I was like 2 years old, because it took me years. Actually, I would have had been playing before I was born, because it took me like 20 years of practicing and playing and getting experience and all of that to get to the level that I'm at right now. So I don't know. I can't really say that, because I would have had to been practicing since I was like before I could even walk. So that wouldn't even make sense. So who knows what would have happened if. I can't even say. Jalil Arnu says, what is my favorite shoe to play basketball in? My favorite shoe right now, if I had to pick just one shoe for a game right now, I'd probably go with the Jordan 29s. All time is the original Hyper Dunk from 2008. Eric says, I train every day. I'm one of the best players my age where I'm from, but I was wondering, is there a way to get your energy level up? Well, there's different types of energy, Eric. Do you mean physical energy, mental energy, spiritual energy, emotional energy? There are different levels, there are different types of energy, so it depends on what type you're talking about. If we're talking physical, then of course you can drink more water, you can get more sleep, you can eat better food. And better food You don't need anyone to tell you what's better food. We all know that eating vegetables is better than eating fast food or eating McDonald's or something like that. So those are things that any of you can get the information. That's all available. You can Google it, look it up. What types of foods are good for you, bad for you, based on their content. Because there are certain foods that are absolutely not good for you. And there's no opinion on it. It's just absolute fact. We might still like the foods, but they're not good for us. And those are things that you can find out, Google online. I'm not the only person with that information. Thousands of people have published that, so you can find that. As far as mental and emotional, spiritual energy, I've written about that stuff in a couple of my books. The Mental Handbook and The Mirror of Motivation, both of those are available on Amazon.com. Football Mom says, I was talking to one of my son's teammates' mothers, so another mother of a player, and on how much we love the game of basketball. We love the smell of the gym, the way our kids push themselves hard on the last suicide, when we know they're tired, the way they interact as a team, or the way we feel proud when our son makes a free throw. We even like watching college and pro basketball. And she is presuming that I love basketball, and her question is, why do you love basketball? Well, what I love most about basketball, I love all of it. There's the things that you said, all those things I enjoy. I enjoy the competition. I enjoy the spectacle of it. I like the being alone and practicing. I like practicing in a gym full of people. I like playing in a gym full of people. Everything. There's no part of basketball that I don't enjoy. Martin Ivanov says, what's my opinion on PEDs, such as steroids and human growth hormone in general and in basketball? Do I take them, or do I know people who do? Well, I don't have any opinion on them in general, because I don't really think about them at all. I don't take them, and I don't know anyone who does. And if I do know someone who does, I don't know that they take them. I might know them as a person and not know they're doing it. Brendan Fritter says, I'm currently destroying everyone at my local basketball court, but do you think I'm really getting better, i.e. increasing my skills, by not facing anyone better than me? Well, Brendan, it's hard for me to say. I think you have 100% more accurate an answer to that question than I would, since you are you, so you're out there playing every day. You know if you're getting better. I have no idea if you're getting better, because number one, I've never seen you play. Number two, I don't know what you look like before. I don't know what you look like now, but you know the answers to both of those. So if anyone knows if you're getting better, you would be the first person with that answer. Mr. Mitchell says, what are my thoughts on the Duke University players entering the draft? I don't have any thoughts on them entering the draft. If that's what they want to do, that's what they should do. Tay Sheen says, what are the last pair of shoes that you bought? I don't know. The last pair of shoes that I bought, I think was some dress shoes, not sneakers. I think that was the last pair of shoes I bought. Mr. Underdog says, what is your favorite food? My favorite food, if I could only pick one, banana. MHW2K said, this is straight fucking comedy. Well, I'm glad that this is entertaining to you. Ali is awesome says, do you feel athleticism plays a big part in basketball? Of course it plays a big part. Basketball is a sport, so everybody who plays a sport is an athlete. So being athletic definitely plays a part in playing any sport. So yes, that's a very broad question. Jonathan Frazier says, if the questions get whacked, then this will cease to exist. So you're absolutely right, Jonathan. I actually just said that at the beginning of this video. Ryan Allen says, do you ever watch your older YouTube videos? Not really. Maybe every once in a while I might come across something and I'll click on it just to see what it was. Because I posted so many, I don't even remember all of them. So I might click on one just to see if I can remember when I did it. But other than that, no. TJ Hargrove says, how do you lead your team in a win or lose situation in an important moment in basketball? You lead them by example. You do what you know you're capable of doing to the best of your ability. Nazir Matthews says, Nazir Mathers says, do you shoot with a hitch? I don't know. Only thing I focus on when I'm shooting is if the ball is going to go in or if it's not going to go in. Anything else that someone's thinking about when they're shooting, in my opinion, is just going to distract you and hurt your chances of making the shot. So all I focus on when I'm shooting is just get the ball out of my hands, and if it goes in, I did good. If it doesn't go in, then something needs to be adjusted. Next question. Remy Wrong says, is skill more important than athleticism? I can't really say which one is more important, because some players can be very athletic but very low skilled but be a contributing player. They can be a solid player who helps their team win. So it's not necessarily that one or the other must be better, but athleticism is less, you have less control over your athleticism than you do your skill. Any player could gain a very, very high level of skill with enough practice, enough, purposeful practice, like on-purpose practice of trying to get better at certain things. As far as athleticism, everyone can improve their athleticism also, but because of our genetic codes as human beings, some people have a higher ceiling of athleticism than others. But as far as skill, everyone's ceiling as far as skills go is very high. Next, Louis Marchetti says, just watching all these videos answers all my questions. You are awesome. Well, thank you, Louis. I appreciate that, and I happen to agree with you. Yoel Guide says, Dre, I'm going to have a busy summer this year trying to work and get money and also go to the gym every day to work on basketball. But I have a question. If I buy the jump manual, will I still get 4 free hoop handbooks? And if so, can I do them at the same time that I'm using the jump manual? Well, first of all, Yoel, if you get the jump manual, we do have an offer where if you get the jump manual, you send us the receipt, you have to use our link, which is dreallday.com/jump. If you use that link to get the jump manual, we do have an offer for free hoop handbooks, and it's not 4, it was actually 5 free hoop handbooks or 1 signature workout program. Because the hoop handbooks, we got different categories. We got the off-court stuff like the Ultimate Athlete Position of Power. We got the NBA Signature Workouts, which are 30-day programs based around the skills of your favorite players. And we got the skill programs like the ball handling program, the shooting program, the post moves program. So you can get 5 of the skill programs, or you can get any 1 of the off-court or signature workout programs, as long as you forward me the receipt from your purchase of the jump manual using my link, dreallday.com/jump. All the things that I just said are listed on my website under dreallday.com/jump higher. Next, Yorkun says, as far as his other question, can he do them all at the same time? You can do the jump manual and 1 basketball program at the same time, not all 5 programs at the same time on the same day. That'll be too much. Yorkin says, I have a problem where I always step on the line when I'm shooting a 3. It has cost us games in the season. I have no clue how I can fix this. Please help me. Yorkin, you have absolutely no clue how you can stop stepping on the line. I find that hard to believe. I think if I offered you $1 million to tell me, just to come up with one idea on how you can stop stepping on the line, I think you could come up with one. So I'm going to offer you that $1 million, and I'm going to give you a week to come up with the idea of how you can stop stepping on the line, since you have no clue whatsoever. So I think in a week you might be able to come up with at least 1 clue. Josh Peralta says, I'm a good scorer in out-of-game situations, but during games I don't get the ball. I usually get the ball like 3 times a game. I score 3 points a game on average, and maybe I get 1 assist. My question is, how do you get your teammates and coach to trust you with the ball when you don't get the ball much? I've actually made a video on this, Josh, and you can look that video up and you can just put in, why don't my teammates pass me the ball? Because this is the exact question you're asking. They don't pass you the ball because they don't believe in you. So if you want them to believe in you, what you need to do is prove that you can do something with the couple of opportunities that you get. So if you only get the ball 3 times a game, you need to produce in those 3 times in a way that makes people think, your teammates that is, think, yo, you know what, we need to give the ball to Josh another time because he's going to do something again. So if I give you the ball 3 times and you don't do nothing, I'm not giving you the ball a 4th time. So if you're not doing nothing, don't use the fact that you only get a few touches as an excuse. Use it as a reason to do something with those few opportunities that you get, because that's the only way you're going to get more. Life ain't fair, basketball ain't fair, so I know other people probably get the ball a lot more than you, but that's just the way it is. Deal with the situation as it is, not as you wish it to be, but as it is, and then make it the way you want it to be. B Soprano 2123 says, Dre, you stay in great shape. Well, thank you. At what age or when did you know you had hit your prime basketball-wise? I don't know. Who said that I already hit it? I never really thought about that, because when you're playing, you're not really thinking, oh, I must be at my prime. Because if you're at your prime, let's say you're at the best that you've ever been and doing anything, you're not thinking, okay, well, I'm never going to get better. You're thinking you can probably just keep getting better and better. So maybe when I'm done playing and I just stop going to the gym completely or stop working out every day completely, I could look back and say, all right, well, maybe it was at this time or that time. But I don't know. I never really thought about it. Andrel Huertas says, how can I get better at being consistent mentally and physically? I appreciate all the videos you put out. It helps a lot. Well, if you want to be more consistent physically, I guess you mean in your actual performance in the games. Number one, of course, you have to practice more, so you got to work on your game. Number two, you gain experience by playing in more games so that you can learn how to better react instinctively. And as far as mentally, it's the same thing. You have to practice. The same way you practice your game, you practice your dribble and your shot, you practice mentally getting yourself into the state or the frame of mind where you perform at your best level. And that's different for every person. You have to figure out what works for you. Every human being, we all have our own mental triggers that put us in a certain frame of mind, whether that make us do better or make us do worse. And each one of you watching this video is responsible for knowing what those triggers are for you. It's not about anybody telling you what they are, because nobody else can get inside your head. Only you know. So you need to figure out what that is. And once you figured it out, start practicing putting yourself there consistently so that you can do it whenever you feel like it, at the snap of a finger. Cliff Stevens says, Dre, do you still do that thing where we film ourselves playing and send it to you? I'm not sure how that works. Is there a vid on it or anything? No, Cliff, there's no vid on it because I don't still do it because I never did it in the first place. I had floated the idea that I might do it, but I found that it would probably be extremely time consuming. So that's not going to happen right now. I don't see it happening in the future, but you never know. But as for now and the past, that has never happened and is not happening anytime in the immediate future. John Smith says, Dre, hypothetical question. You don't have to ask me, you don't have to tell me it's a hypothetical question. Almost all of these are hypothetical. He said, if you had the choice of getting dunked on or dropped, what would you rather happen? I guess when he says dropped, he means like crossed over and you fall. I would choose neither one. So I'm passing on that hypothetical question. I'm True Skills says, Dre, were you ever hyped to play basketball and then you get on the court with bums and lose all your energy to play? No, not really. I don't think I ever get hyped to play basketball. If I'm going to play, I get myself ready, but I wouldn't say hype. Hype like jumping around, yelling and screaming. I don't do that before a game of basketball. I just get myself mentally ready to play in the game, which is not necessarily hype. It just means focus, not paying attention to any type of distractions. It's focused on what I need to do on the court. And if I'm focused mentally, then it don't matter who else is playing, whether they're great players or the worst players in the world. If I'm focused and ready to play, I'm going to make the most of that time, no matter who it is. Tate Bennett says, I had my first practice with my high school team. It's just summer practice and not tryouts yet, but he says, by the time I answer this question, the practice will have already happened. But his question anyway is, I'm nervous and pumped up at the same time. I'm a good shooter, but I'm better at driving. Should I stick with what I know, which is getting the drive and the layup, or should I shoot the jumper, or should I do both, being that I have the opportunity to do them? Sorry if that's confusing. Well, it's not confusing to me, Tate. It seems like you're more confusing yourself. What you need to do, Tate, is just get on the court and play basketball. You don't go into a basketball game thinking, all right, well, I'm going to shoot this mid-range jumper if I'm open, or if the defender does this, I'm going to do that, or if this happens, I'm going to drive to the basket, or if this happens, I'm going to do a crossover. If you go into any basketball situation thinking like that, it's just going to make you play worse than whatever your level is. So just go out there and play the game the way you know how. The only way you're going to get better is by playing. You're not going to get better by thinking. You're not going to get better by memorizing if this, then that. You're not going to get better by talking. You're not going to get better by watching YouTube videos. Just got to go out there and play. And since, like you said, the practice has already happened by now, so just go out there and play, keep playing, and you'll keep getting better. Paul Pierce is his name. So Paul Pierce is in the Q&A, y'all. He says, Dre, I've been practicing my shot every day for a while. No matter what I do, I cannot shoot consistently, especially off the dribble. I've altered my form a few times. It has not become any more consistent. What should I do? So, Paul, you said no matter what you do, your shot, you cannot shoot consistent. Well, first of all, first thing you need to do is change your wording, because that's actually not true. So maybe you haven't done the thing yet that will make you consistent, but there are things you can do, because you know that there are players who are consistent shooters, right? So it just means you haven't done the thing that those players are doing, which means, number one, find a form that works for you. So you can change your form to whatever you want to change it to. You keep changing it, your shot's not going in. So obviously you need to stop changing it so your shot can start going in. Find a form that works for you, that you can duplicate, that you can do over and over again. Stick with it, and then keep practicing until you can't miss, which means forever, because no basketball player will not miss. As the greatest shooter in the world, whoever you think that is, they miss shots. So you got to keep shooting, keep practicing, because there's never a point where you don't have to practice anymore. So figure out what works for you and start practicing it. And he says no matter what he does, he cannot shoot consistently. Well, then you need to keep doing stuff until you figure it out. That's the actual answer to your question. There's no YouTube video for it, ain't no book for it, ain't no blog post for it, there's no advice for it. You need to do the work. If you want to get good at basketball, you got to do the work. There are no shortcuts here, and me telling you to do something is automatically going to make you this great shooter out of nowhere just because I said something for 2 minutes. That's a shortcut. Ain't no shortcuts in this game. So if you really want to make it the way that you sound like you do the work. John Globe says, what kind of training do you do as far as weights? Do you lift heavy or for endurance or aesthetics? All three. When it comes to lifting weights, actually, if you go to my strength training playlist on this channel, you'll see some strength drills that I do, stuff I do when I'm working with my trainer, Maria. If I do something that's without her, it'll be basic lifts, deadlift, bench press, curls, pull-ups, things like that, core workouts. I don't do anything that's amazing, anything that anyone would say was like, wow, I've never seen that before. As far as his question, do I lift heavy? Yes. Do I lift for endurance? Yes. Do I lift for aesthetics? Yes. So heavy weights will build strength and also will build size in some cases, depending on how you're lifting. There's a lot of factors that go into that. As far as endurance, of course, because when you play basketball, you need endurance. Basketball is not like a fitness contest where you stand on the stage and flex for the judges. You got to actually be able to move around for an extended period of time. So all basketball players need strength and endurance. And aesthetics, of course, what person doesn't want to look good, make their body look good, because it makes people attracted to you. So if you're a male and you are interested in females, you want your body to look good so the females like you, right? I mean, that's one thing to make females like you. So yes, all three. William Yang says, do you think AAU is necessary in order to get a scholarship to a D1 school? I'm not able to play AAU and I only play high school. Well, William, if you're not able to play AAU, why are you even asking this question? Who cares? If all you have is high school, then focus on what you got. Focus on getting to where you want to get with the resources that you have. If you can't play AAU, why do you care if it's necessary? Since you can't play it, just focus on where you're at and focus on doing your best with the situation you have, not worrying about what's going on somewhere that you're not. Brett Machiusi says, who's your favorite NBA player of all time and why? Michael Jordan, because he's the greatest player of all time in my opinion. Marcos says, how many tattoos do you have on your body and what do they mean? It'd be awesome if you can answer this question. Someone already asked me that. I probably answered that about 4 times in these Q&As. So if you go back, I think 2 weeks, I addressed that already. Skyland Stevens says, will you post the TBT game on YouTube? He's referring to the basketball tournament this July in Philly. I won't have the video because I'll be playing. So TBT, the actual tournament, they'll be filming it. So you'll have to contact them to find out what they're doing as far as filming the games. If I get a hold of the video, yes, but I'm not really focused on that. I'm really just focused on playing in the game. Tamari Reed says, does lifting weights improve your range or help your three-point shooting? I keep shooting threes every day, but I think I'm missing some fundamentals. Can you recommend anything to improve my threes? Well, if you think you're missing fundamentals, well, what are the fundamentals that you think you're missing? Because if you know that you're missing them, then all you need to do is start working on them, so then you'll have them. So first of all, you need to answer that question. What fundamentals are there that you think you're missing? You can't just think you're missing something if you don't know what it is. What is it? As far as lifting weights can improve your range because it improves your overall body strength, your total body strength. And shooting a basketball is a total body movement. It's not a single muscle movement. It's a total body movement. So yes, lifting weights can improve your strength, but you need to know what you're doing when you're lifting weights. You shouldn't just go in there and just start throwing around weights just because you think it's going to make you make threes. And the fundamental skills of shooting have nothing to do with lifting weights. That's a skill thing. It's a mechanics thing. So those are two separate things you're talking about. So you can work on both. If you need help on your shooting, do the same thing I told the earlier questioner, which is come up with a form that works for you and keep practicing it till you can't miss. Start at a range that you can shoot, and then once you get very accurate from there, move back a half a step, and then do the same thing, and then move back a half a step, and just keep doing that. I don't care if it takes you 3 years. Eventually, you'll get the shooting range that you want. Are you willing to put in the 3 years of work? Usually, in my videos where I had the simple daily dribbling drills, I say work on these drills every day for 5 years. People are like, man, 5 years? Well, how long you plan on playing basketball? 4 years? 3 years? 2 years? So if you're willing to put in the work, you can get any result as far as skills go. As far as strength training goes, go to dreallday.com/UA. That stands for Ultimate Athlete. You can get to Ultimate Athlete program, which covers strength as part of 7 different areas that it covers for athleticism, specifically for basketball players, made by my trainer Maria Solon-Scally. That is at hoophandbook.com. Next question. Mr. Steve Blazer says, what do you do to try and keep your diet in check, or should I say lifestyle of staying fit, when you're at parties or family events and they have a lot of junk food? What do you do to resist temptation? Well, if you don't want to eat junk food, just don't eat it. There's no special tricks to it. If you think that if you go somewhere and you've decided that for your lifestyle or your diet or whatever you want to call it, you don't want to eat potato chips or pretzels or drink soda or eat donuts or fried chicken, just don't do it. There's nothing else to it. Halo Medina says, Dre, why do you always tend to give people the same answer to a variety of questions? I mean, I like the way you respond to people's questions, but you seem to always either say work on your game or try and find an answer yourself. Why is that? Well, I don't think that's true, Halo Modidan. I'm answering your question. I don't think I've given this answer to anyone. If you listen to this video, you've seen I'm addressing everyone's questions. But if you got a problem with the questions I'm asking, then just don't come to this video. Don't post the question. If you don't like the answers, go find them yourself, or you can start your own channel and you can do a Q&A and you can give everyone a unique answer. But first, you got to find some people who would give a damn about what you got to say. Next question. Florida Ballin says, Dre, what do you recommend to do when you can't get a break in a fast-paced basketball game and your own team is relying on you to score points, meaning your teammates can't really carry their own? When is the best time to take a breather? Well, call timeout. If your team don't have any timeouts, then sub yourself out of the game if you really need a rest. Those are only 2 things you can do. Or outside of the game, get yourself in better shape so that you don't need the breathing. Brendan Grassman says, if you had to defend a player who's very fast and quick and can also shoot, how would you lock them down defensively? You would respond in a moment. So it's not like I can sit here and say, all right, well, if the player can do this, then you need to play defense like this and put your feet right here and be this far away. And if he does this move, then you put your hand right here. And if he takes this shot, then you try to block it like this and put his hand right there. That's not how basketball works. People always ask me these hypothetical questions like, oh, well, if the other player does this, what should I do? If you are asking a question like that, like this one that I just read, you need to play more basketball. You don't have enough experience and you don't have enough skill to understand the game. And there's nothing that I can say to you that's going to cover that gap of experience and understanding that is not going to be covered by you putting in the work. You must put in the work in order to be able to address that situation. So if you're playing against a player who's fast and they strong and they can jump and they can shoot, you got a couple problems. Number one, you're worrying about the opponent. If you're worrying about the opponent, that's because you lack the ability to put yourself in a frame of mind where you don't have to think about the other guy. You're thinking about the other guy, it's probably because you're not good enough. When you're at a certain level, you don't care about who you're playing against. That doesn't mean you're going to win every game. Doesn't even mean you got to be the best player, even in a one-on-one. But if you're worrying about the other guy, then you have a problem. And there's a problem that you can address yourself 100%. Which means you need to improve your skill level. If you think about the other guy, that's just because you ain't good enough. And the other thing is you need more game experience. When you have more game experience, you don't have to ask anybody, oh, what do I do if the other guy does this? You react in the moment. You can't memorize how to respond to another player. So I can't sit here and make a video and says, oh, well, if you're playing in a game and the defender does this crossover, then this is how you respond to it. Because in a game, you're not going to be able to think of what to do by the time that happens anyway. You can't memorize it. The human brain doesn't work that fast. The human brain has the recall, which means it sees something, something happens, and then you say, oh, okay, when that happens, I'll do this, and then you respond. By the time that process happens and your brain sends the directions to your body to actually do something, the moment is gone and you already lost it. So you may be thinking, well, what about when people go through things over and over again and they kind of memorize how to respond, they start doing it quickly? You know what they call that? They call that instincts. So at first you will be thinking about it like, okay, this happened. Oh yeah, I know what that is because I read it in the book or I saw it on YouTube. I need to do this. and you do that over and over and over again, eventually it becomes instinctive to the point where you're not thinking, you're just reacting. That's what you had to get that's the point that you had to get yourself to. All basketball players, you had to get yourself to that point. So if you're at the point where you're asking, you need to play more, and eventually you'll start to react instinctively. Next question. Damaris Ep says, can you put regular salt in the Dre drink? Actually, I don't even use that Dre drink anymore. I think they had posted on Twitter because it was an old blog post that I did. But I don't even do that anymore. Now I just drink regular, normal water when I work out. I don't put any salt in it because I've learned from some knowledgeable people that putting salt in the water while working out is actually not good for you. BK Swear says, how do you develop a dominating mindset? How do you develop a dominating mindset? Well, it depends. First of all, how do you define a dominating mindset? Because dominating is a relative term that can mean different things for different people. So first of all, you define what a dominating mindset is. Then what you do is figure out what gets you to that mindset, even if it's only temporarily, even if it's only for a minute. And then you work on, once you realize what it is that got you there, you start practicing putting yourself in that mindset as often as possible to the point that it just becomes part of you. And that doesn't take a day, it doesn't take a week, that could take years. So you got to ask yourself, first of all, before you even get into that, is if you're willing to actually do that. Because it's not, like I've said 3 times already in this video, ain't no shortcuts to none of this stuff. If you want it, you're going to have to put in a lot of work, more than most people would do, and further and beyond what most people would, further and beyond the point most people would quit. So first of all, you need to ask yourself if you're willing to do that. And it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to live it. Next, Baller Tip says, how do you prepare for a game physically and mentally? He has you in all capital letters, as if I've never addressed this question 10 times, which I have. So I have videos for that. So if you look up Dre Baldwin preparation or Dre Baldwin prepare or Dre Baldwin pregame, you'll see all the videos on that, which I have already addressed multiple times. Matt Tamara says, I'm looking for some good books for basketball players or athletes in general. Something like Relentless, which is the book by Tim Grover, for instance. Can you recommend me some that you liked? Yes, go to dreallday.com, click on the link that says Books I Read, and I've listed probably about a few hundred books, not a few, probably around 100 books that I've read and actually written reviews on, all on my website. Now, I also have a list on the guides and tips page called Dre Baldwin's recommended reading list. So read every book on that list and you'll have your complete answer. Raul Marmolejo says, if a player has the potential to work, be dedicated, grind, do whatever it takes to get where that person wants to be, to give a good feeling in a sense is I can make it out of something out of this guy. Wait, let me start over reading this question. He says, if a ball player has potential to work, be dedicated, grind, and will do whatever it takes to get where the person wants to be, give you a good feeling in the sense of, okay, I guess he meant to say, does this give you a good feeling in the sense of, as in, I can make something out of this guy? Or do you look for players that are ready to go and just ball out with a whole lot of talent? Well, Raul, I don't look for any types of players. I don't look for basketball players, period. So I don't even know what you're talking about and what capacity you mean, if you mean like for a coach, for a trainer. And again, this is another one of hypothetical questions that really doesn't really have any basis. It doesn't matter. If you're a player, if you're either one player or if you're one type of player or the other type of player, the way you're wording this question is you seem to feel like most players fit into either category A or category B. So if you're in category A, then focus on doing what you need to do from where you're at. And if you're in category B, focus on what you need to do from category B. So the way, like I said, the way you worded that question doesn't seem like you think anyone can be in category A and B, and people don't have a choice whether they're in A or B. So whichever one you're in, focus on doing what you need to do yourself, not what anybody else is doing, not what anybody else thinks of you, not what anybody else says about you. Focus on you. Ball is Life 7743 says, who is the rookie of the year who said he watched your videos? I don't know. You have to find out. Ask every rookie of the year you know and see who says that it was them. Ball is My Life says, could you tell me the video about ball handling, fake like hands up and so on? I saw the video I told you about 1 year ago. I put it on my laptop as a favorite, but I got a new laptop. If you forget, could you tell me all the fake ball handles like hands up and so on? Well, no, I couldn't tell you all of them because I got over 4,000 videos here. So what you would need to do is go to my ball handling playlist. I had 2 of those, and my tutorials playlist. I got 1 of those. Go through those playlists and you'll see all the videos where I've done tutorials and drills for ball handling. You can see them all there. And if you added a video as a favorite on YouTube, that would be in your YouTube account. That doesn't have anything to do with your computer, because you can access your favorites from any computer because you're logging into an account. It's not the computer that is saved on. It's saved on your account on YouTube. Last question, Dylan Moon says, I gained 3 inches in my vertical by using the jump manual and some of Jacob's exercises, but I want to know how old and how tall you were when you got your first dunk. I was 16. I don't know how tall I was. I've answered that question probably 100 times. So there's 101. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for the questions. If y'all have good, thoughtful, useful questions, y'all can leave them in the comments to this video, and we'll keep these things going. Work on your fucking game. DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here, and make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day.